Yeah, so I on Red Neutralist on the Rumble chat, he said that Russia has been targeting Ukrainian energy facilities all around. You know,
I've heard mostly
so
it's been drones. Just with drones, they haven't even started using missiles yet.
the Shahid.
Yeah,
So so I just replied him. It's time to mow the grass. It's like now that you rebuild all this energy facility, time to destroy them again. To and then
yeah,
winter is coming. So it's time to make them suffer a bit.
Yeah.
That's probably what the Russians are thinking. So and then put political pressure on the Ukrainians to push them to to get something done internally to force
yeah.
for a rebellion or something. But I'm not sure if the Ukrainians have the stomach to do rebellions. I'm not sure. I've already given up on that possibility so far. After we're talking about the war coming to 2 years, and then it's like the Ukrainians are just going to the front and die.
Well, the other thing too is it might be hard for like people that are upset or discontent with what Zelensky's doing to protest because, I mean, if you show up in a group, the conscriptors are probably going to show up and pick through there if they don't just grab everyone flat out. No, I'm just saying. I mean, you know what I
Yeah, yeah.
mean? You might get
True,
old
true,
people
true.
to show up, but you're not going to get any. That might be another reason why you don't see a lot of it because people don't want to gather because they may get picked because it ain't like they're just picking the young people. I mean, you've seen some of these guys that have been captured or killed, or I mean,
There's
some of them
no
look
more
like
young people.
grandpas. So that don't just because you got gray hair don't mean you're safe. And that might be another reason why you don't really see anything organized because people don't want to get scooped up. I mean, it probably sucks right now to be on the front lines. Obviously, probably sucks just
Super.
as bad to be stuck in some kind of prison when resources
Oh,
are already stretched to the bare minimum.
do
Yeah.
you see the quarters inside the coke plant? The I think they released. There's a video of them. The Ukrainian quarters inside the coke plant. So people were saying that it reminds them of Azovstal in Mariupol. Yeah, I'm like thinking like how is that sad? The people living in the trenches are sad. You're living inside the concrete, with roof over your head.
Hmm. Okay. Does that mean morale is going to get lower? Because the narrative that I've been seeing online is that morale on the Russian side is low, but no one really emphasizes this on the Ukrainian side. I'm usually told that morale is very high and the Ukrainians are eager to liberate their territory, but it seems as
You're,
if that could be changing.
I mean, I assume that you're British. You're living in England, and
Yes, I am.
yeah, I mean, I think that you live in the epicenter of propaganda on this planet. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So, I mean, one stat that I love to repeat about Britain is that more people have been arrested for social media posts in the UK than have in Russia over the past few years, which is
Yeah.
especially considering it's about half the population of Russia. It's not even a per capita figure. So if you have that kind of level of control, and you see that the British have been kind of leading the charge to push Ukraine into fighting with Russia, right? If you go back to where Boris Johnson torpedoed the negotiations at the very beginning of this back in, I think, April of 2022. So anything that you hear from the British press, you have to totally disregard, I think. I mean, that goes for the Western liberal press as a whole, but especially the British press. I mean,
The British press, I agree with you. They're completely detached from reality. You listen to their military experts, and it's crazy with the stuff coming out of their mouth half the time.
I would say money talks, man.
What's that?
Money talks.
Yep.
Is that how it's Archimedes? Archimedes. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'll tell you how it works in the UK. So, you're talking about the level of control. So, about the US has the separation of powers. So, there's a clear system of checks and balances on one branch of government to the other. In the UK, we have the fusion of powers, meaning that all of the branches of government are kind of interchangeable. So the level of control and dominance is more obvious from the UK side. They have systems in place where I'm not sure if you make a social media post and someone that doesn't like it, or it may be perceived as like offensive or you know rebellious or counterproductive to preserving society, if someone calls the police and reports what you've said, they will come to your house, and sometimes they do it without a phone call. Sometimes the police will just come and they'll send like a detective, and then they will just do an investigation. The UK has more cameras than the US as well, even though there's a smaller population. I think we have about like twice the amount of cameras that the US has, even though the US has a population of 3 times more than UK, of roughly 350 million, roughly. We have like 75, roughly. And in terms of the media is it's so obvious that it's not. Even if you're an academic and you look at British media, you can be pro-Ukrainian, you can be pro-Russian, but an academic will look at what the press is saying and be like, hold on a second, this analyst has made 2 claims, and with each claim he's making, he's not providing any sources. He's just talking on BBC radio and saying that this is going to happen on the front line. Or respectfully, I don't care what you think is going to happen on the front line. I care what is going to happen on the front line. And in order for me to know that, I need to have access to primary, preferable, and secondary, which is the bare minimum, sources. Otherwise, you're just talking. I mean, it's one thing to talk, and it's one thing to actually say something that is valid in relation to this conflict, which is something that the media fails to do. And not just this conflict, multiple conflicts, multiple events. I mean, this 2023 and now, it's 2 years since COVID ended, and now we have a new conflict in the Middle East. And frankly, we don't know who's telling the truth. I mean, either I'm going to believe the Hamas's health ministry, or I'm going to believe the Israelis. Both sides have a history of lying and deceiving government. But you guys can enlighten me on that in the later part of this DPA Open Talk podcast.